Yeah, thank you. Goodtalent is a talent marketplace for global C-stage companies to source, vet, and compliantly pay remote African talents. Global C-stage companies in the EU, the US, and the UK are already attempting to hire talents from Africa, especially technical talents. But they're faced with some real problems which we're solving. It's expensive using traditional recruitment agencies. A typical UK company will contract a UK recruitment agency to hire a talent in Africa. And it's upwards of $25,000 when you look at recruiting costs. The time to hire takes more than 56 days, about 2 months. Even when they do this, traditional agencies typically do not vet the talents with coding tests. And even when they use third-party agencies, they incur additional costs. There's a risk of bad hire when a software engineer is not properly vetted. It's upwards of $87,000. Even when there's success, these African talents are hired as independent contractors. These companies are circumventing local African laws. And there is no compliance whatsoever. And they use the SWIFT system to pay these people by direct transfer. It takes days, even weeks in some African countries. We have built a platform to solve these problems. And this platform is for C-stage companies who are looking for mobile, agile, fair price technology talents. And we guarantee legality, KYC, and the right skills. So with our platform, what companies would do is they would crowdsource on our platform by staking a bounty. The entire community of over 6,000 software engineers on our platform go to work to hunt for that bounty. And what will they do? They will refer their network. And this has been the secret to our success and the growth of our platform in such a short time. And when they do that, each talent is vetted either with our multiple choice questions. We have built a library of over 10,000 questions across various programming languages. Or they can also use our integrated developer environment. And companies only get to interview successful candidates who have passed the coding test. And companies then proceed, upon the hiring decision, companies then proceed to run compliant payroll, pay the talents simply by funding their in-platform wallet on Goodtalent and disburse via our in-platform disbursement at scale. We are addressing an $846 billion opportunity in a $9.3 trillion market. And we estimate that there are over 330,000 companies, C-state companies, the US, UK, the EU, and Africa, who will hire at least 2 technology talents from Africa. At our price point, we see a market potential of just over $5 billion. We launched in June of 2022. And since then, we have proven the concept. Even without our Africa-focused payroll, we are currently just over an annual recurring revenue of $156,000. And the competitive landscape is heavily fragmented, with existing players who are focused on certain parts of the life cycle. Goodtalent is creating an ecosystem where companies can actually source talent, run compliant payroll for African talents, and also talents can build their careers via our learning marketplace. And this is what we've done so far. Well, this is where we are with regards to payroll and compliance, and our future is creating a learning marketplace for African talents. Sorry. Oh, how do I go back? Okay, yeah. So I have been in recruitment for over 15 years. I'm a second-time founder. I previously founded a company called eRecruiter Africa. That company was fully bootstrapped to gross revenues of $500 million. My CTO, Obina, has over 8 years experience as a full-stack engineer, and he has experience building scalable solutions for European and Asian startups. We are advised by Sonia Pella, who is an experienced product-led growth consultant who's advising on our product-led strategy. And we are supported by 12 highly motivated individuals. Join us in helping companies crowdsource, screen, hire, and pay remote African talents compliantly. Thank you.
I think Nubi has to start. We haven't heard from you yet.
I'm happy to go first here. So in terms of the clients that you are ultimately providing the workforce to, what can you give us a range of kind of who they are? They're blue chips, or they tech businesses solely, or they, and also then give us an idea of how long a contract or an employment cycle would last.
Okay, so they are typically C6 companies because the sales cycle is very short. Typically takes about 2 weeks. And why C6 companies? Because we get to speak to the CEOs, the CTOs, and decisions are made fast. And these are companies who want to hire an engineer really fast. And we are not bogged down by internal processes. And the typical contract, companies subscribe on our platform, typically on a 12-month contract, but they can also do 6 months, depending on their situation. But we understand that a typical recruitment life cycle takes about 3 months, so they will never do below 6 months anyway. But on the payment side, on the payroll side, it's typically 12 months for companies to be able to hire that talent. So we don't focus on freelancers. We focus on full-time staff, because as a VC, you wouldn't want to invest in a company where their code is with a freelancer. You'd rather invest in a company where the team is embedded and they are part of the growth of the company.
Yeah, I'm on the payment side of things. So like you're HR tech, but then there's actually like some embedded finance in there. Is that mostly in-house, or like how do you like manage that, like from a
the payments?
Yeah. So
okay, so we're integrating. We're integrating with fintech partners.
Okay.
So we have. Am I allowed to mention some names? So we have Flutter Wave already integrated. We're integrating you guys. My CTO has not gotten around to it yet. We're also integrating some neobanks as well for us to be able to. So the way our platform works, companies fund their wallets on our platform. They disburse to the talent. So every employee has a wallet as well. So they get a notification that they've been paid. These talents then withdraw to their bank. So they can either use M-Pesa, they use USSD, or they can withdraw via LIPS. In Nigeria, into their bank, but they have 30 days to do that. If they don't do that after 30 days, we automatically disburse for them to the bank.
Okay. I want to clarify a few things. So, try to understand your revenue, like perhaps spread. So I'm assuming you're billing these customers for like service provided and all. On the payment side of things, is that revenue there for you at all?
So the payroll typically for a company who has the talent in a country that they are not incorporated in, is about $200 per month per employee. For a company who has talent where they are incorporated in, is $5 per employee per month. Then for contractors, is $20 per employee per month. Now, the interesting thing about contractors is, a lot of people have been paying contractors, but there are laws around this. In Nigeria, in Ghana as well, you need to deduct withholding tax from contractors. But what we see with European companies, they don't do that. Even in countries like Ivory Coast and I think South Africa, independent contractors are not allowed. They have to be properly payrolled. So this is where we come in to, because a lot of African countries are losing tax revenue because of these independent IC arrangements. And you might ask, does it really concern the company? For any company who wants to be sustainable, they need to do the right thing. And that's what we come in. So we'll be talking to quite a number of UK companies who actually see value in what we're doing. And I had a company the other day who said to me, "You've convinced me to hire in Ghana. What next?" They don't know. They actually don't. So most of what they do is out of ignorance, actually. So they need that education for them to do the right thing.
Okay, I would ask you a yes or no question.
Yeah.
Do you make money from payments as part of
No, we don't make. You mean for the disbursements?
Yeah,
we don't make money from it.
It's fully outsourced to the partner.
Yes, the integration partner makes money from that. Yeah, we take care of that cost.
Sorry, how do you source the pipeline of talents, and do you monetize from that sourcing, or is it just from the?
Okay, I believe you're talking about the bounty. So the way it works is, you're talking about the crowdsourcing. So the way it works is, talents on our platform are now very organic. You know, they come to our platform, and the way it works is, when a company posts a role and they post a bounty, every talent on our platform gets an email to hunt for that bounty, because they get 50% of the bounty. We make an instant 30% of that bounty the minute it's done, and the remaining 70% goes to escrow. And when a talent has been successfully hired and referred by one of the talents on our platform, that talent gets 50%, then the remaining 20% comes back to us as a success fee.
Okay.
I have a very simple question.
Yeah.
You talked about eRecruiter. Why didn't you launch this as a product within eRecruiter?
eRecruiter is a traditional recruitment company. I ran that company for 9 years. I've moved on now. It's a traditional recruitment company that recruits all kinds of roles. So I've moved on from that company. I stepped down as CEO January of last year. I hired the CEO. She was with me. She has been with me since inception. So she's running the business, and the business is doing well. They did gross revenues of 1.5 million last year. So they're actually doing well, but it's a great thing for them. But we never raised money in that company, so I still own about 80% of that company.
What's been your biggest surprise working with talent in these companies last year?
African talents. And I'll tell you, my biggest surprise is COVID caught up with Africa. Remote work caught up with, sorry, not COVID, remote work caught up with Africa because of COVID. So you see situations where a UK company hires a talent, during their sprint meetings, they don't put on their video. And this is why we have introduced a course now. When an African talent gets a job with a foreign company, we have to onboard them properly by educating them how European companies work. Videos are mandatory, so that's one of my biggest calls, because somebody lost their job just because of that.
I'm going to have one last question quickly.
Yes.
You mentioned $20 per employee per month or something like that.
For contractors, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, does that work out? Probably not like a traditional recruiter would earn on a consultant.
No,
like
that's on the payments. That's on the payroll
payment side.
for a
So
contractor.
you're earning a recruiter fee as well.
Yeah, so companies subscribe to our platform
Okay.
to access the talent.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
sorry, I didn't mention, that's $50 per seat per month. So these are vetted talents. So when the talent comes to our platform, they have to get vetted. So they have 3 months to get vetted for at least, one skill. So the way a company will see a talent profile, they will see their skills that they have told us in black. And when they take a skill test and they pass, they will see that same skill in green. So a company can look at the profile, see JavaScript in black, and see Goodtalent verified skill, and see JavaScript in green. So that's how a company can then, so the companies that subscribe, that's how they now engage those talents however they want to do. So we have an instant messaging on the platform which they can use to engage the talent and instant chat.
And you don't make any more revenue then if they get the job?
If they get a job, no, we
So
don't.
not like a normal
No, we don't.
recruiter.
We only make money from the bounty. If the
Okay.
bounty is optional, but if they place a bounty,
Got
we
it.
make an instant 30% and a further 20%. Yeah. So we're not a traditional recruitment agency. We don't want to tie our revenue to fees or to success. We want to focus on recurring revenue, which is predictable, and we can plan with it.
And how would you get around the fact that, I mean, the basic KYC and the verification of the person, because I'm completely useless at coding, but I can promise you I've got a few friends who could pose as me and get the job.
Fantastic.
That's
So
gonna hurt your brand.
with our multiple choice question, we have advanced proctoring. If a talent even so much as opens a new tab, or a pop-up comes or opens a new window, or navigates away from that screen, the test ends, and on the result it says cheat detected. On the ID side, so what we're launching that next week. What we're introducing is the minute you start taking the test, it will ask you for your camera to allow your camera. If you deny that, you can't take the test. If you accept it, it records the code whilst you are coding, so that the hiring manager can play back the code whenever they want. Now, with that same camera, it takes snapshots of you while you're coding. So if you're talking to someone else, or your brother comes up and sees that you get up, we will capture it at some point.
That's too clever for me. Too good for me.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for that presentation. How many people here take video meetings without turning on the camera? So I'd be fired. No, brilliant. I thought this was very interesting because we've always talked about brain drain on the continent, and this is a way to keep very needed technology talent on the continent. You may have answered this question, so sorry for the repetition, but how many people do you have actually talent in your network?
Okay, currently we have just over 6,000.
6,000.
Of which 50.4% have been fully vetted.
Interesting. Very, very good. Thank you again. A round of applause to you.